There are three basic geometric shapes that we need to be familiar with for the rest of this course. One is the rectangle, one is the square, one is the triangle. The properties of a rectangle include the fact that the sides opposite each other are parallel and the same length. We'll label the short side of a rectangle W for width. Some textbooks use a capital W, others use a lowercase. Your textbook uses the lowercase, but it doesn't matter which one you use. We'll label the long side L for length. Again, your textbook uses the lowercase letter L, but it means the same thing. L stands for length, in the same way that W stands for width. For a square, instead of calling the sides W and L, we can call them both the same thing, since they have the same measurement. We could call them both W, or we could call them both L. A lot of textbooks, though, yours included, use the letter S. A square is just a special case of a rectangle. Notice that all four corners are right angles, the sides opposite are the same length and parallel to each other. That's the definition of a rectangle. What's special about a square is that not only are the opposite sides the same length, but all four sides are the same length. So we can call the length and the width S, or really anything else we want. For a triangle, we're going to use different letters again. We're going to call the side that's parallel to the ground the base, so we'll use the letter B to represent base. The other sides of the triangle could have any measurements. And we'll see when we talk about the formula for perimeter that it doesn't really matter what we call those two sides. I'll just call them A and C for now. We have another measurement in a triangle. From the highest point to the ground, we call this measurement H for height. This is the height of the triangle. Now that we know what to call the sides, let's take a look at the formulas. First, we'll talk about the perimeter of a rectangle, a square, and a triangle. And then we'll talk about the area. The perimeter of a rectangle is just a way to describe how far it is all the way around the outside of the rectangle. So the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 widths plus 2 lengths. This is the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. We call it a formula because we know that this will be true for any rectangle, regardless of what its length and width are. Once we know the specific length and width of a rectangle, we can work out the specific perimeter for that rectangle. Let me show you what I mean. If this rectangle has a width of 3 inches and a length of 5 inches, then its perimeter must be 2 times its width plus 2 times its length. Order of operations tells me I need to do multiplication before I do addition. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 5 is 10. Adding these two together gives me 16. But 16 what? 16 is 5 inches plus 3 inches plus 5 more inches plus another 3 inches for a total of 16 inches. The perimeter of this rectangle is 16 inches. The formula for the perimeter of a square comes about in the same way as the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. The perimeter of this square is S plus another S plus yet another. So I could write S plus S plus S plus s 4 times, but that's just 4 times s, or 4s. So I can write 4s. The perimeter of a square is 4 times the length of its side. How about another example? If this square has sides of 5 miles, then all 4 sides of the square are 5 miles. So the perimeter of this square is 4 times 5 miles, or 20 miles. With a triangle, we really don't have a formula per se. I can write that the perimeter of a triangle is the sum of the lengths of its sides. If I know what those sides are, then all I need to do is add them up. What I'm saying is that the perimeter of a triangle is the length of one side plus the length of the second side plus the length of the third side. If this triangle, for example, has sides of length 5, 4, and 2, then its perimeter would be 5 plus 2 plus 4. These are all additions, no multiplications. I don't have to worry about the order of operations. I should go from left to right if I'm performing more than one addition. So I'll add the 5 and the 2 to get 7, add 4 to that, and I get 11. The perimeter of this triangle is 11. In some cases, no units will be given. If no units are given, you don't need to give any in your answer. Here's a summary of what we've got so far. The perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times its width plus 2 times its length. The perimeter of a square is 4 times the length of one side. And the perimeter of a triangle is the sum of the lengths of the 3 sides. Now let's talk about area. The formula for the area of a rectangle is area equals length times width. If I know that the length of a rectangle is 5 and its width is 3, then I can find its area by multiplying its length times its width. The area of this rectangle is 15. If the length and the width are in inches, then the area is in a unit called square inches. We'll abbreviate that SQIN. The IN is for the inches. The formula for the area of a square is area equals S times S, or S squared. We'll be talking about exponents more later on in the quarter, but for now, what this means is multiply S by itself 2 times, like this. S squared means S times S. It's a shorthand for the number of times you multiply a number by itself. Since S represents a number, I can write S times S, or I can write S squared. If this square has sides of length 5 miles, then its area is 5 squared, which means 5 times 5, or 25. Because I'm working with an area, this isn't just miles, it's square miles. MI is the abbreviation for miles. The formula for the area of a triangle is area equals 1/2 BH. That means 1/2 times the base times the height. If this triangle has a base of 5 and a height of 6, then this triangle has an area of 1/2 times 5 times 6. I need to be comfortable working with multiplication involving fractions. Because multiplication can be done in any order, I could write this 1/2 times 6 times 5, and then I can think of this not as 1/2 times 6, but 1/2 of 6. Ultimately, I get an area of 15. There are no units on this triangle, so I can't write that its area is 15 square feet or 15 square kilometers. I could, if I wanted to, write 15 square units. But if no units are given in the problem, you're not required to give units in the answer. Here's a summary of what we've got for area. The area of a rectangle is its length times its width. The area of a square is the length of a side squared, or the length of a side times itself. The area of a triangle is 1/2 times its base times its height. We have formulas for the perimeters and areas for rectangles, squares, and triangles.